guess who this is? This is Chris Irving, or Thomas Irving, as most of you don't know me. Thomas is my first name. Chris is my middle, or Christopher is my middle name after St. Christopher. But as a child, I always had gone by Chris. So I always saw Chris as a child's name. As an adult, anything I do that I've got a sign for, I always sign Thomas because it sounds like more of a mature name. But then people call me Tom, and it's like, no, I hate that. And then I try to say, you can call me Chris, and then they get really confused, and so I just say, just call me Thomas. Not Tom, but Thomas is okay. But to everybody that I know, it's Chris. I mean, my what's left of my family, what's left of my friends, they know me as Chris. If you ask somebody that I knew 20 years ago, hey, do you know Thomas Irving? They're going to be like, who? And like, well, Irving sounds familiar. Like, I knew a cat named Chris Irving, but not Thomas Irving. But where I worked as a teacher, I was Thomas. The teachers called me Thomas, and because when I get a phone call and they ask for Thomas Irving, I know it's something business oriented or something serious, because if they call me Chris Irving, then it's something friendly, somebody that I let into my inner circle. So I prefer Chris. So anyway, the thumbnail today was, is Kratom safe? And I'm taking a chance by talking about Kratom because they do get the most views, but they also get the most criticism from YouTube. If you live in Alabama, this is just for information. It's not to promote or to convince you to use Kratom. But in my experience of using hundreds and hundreds of distributors and going straight to the source, straight to the country, and talking to the farmer himself, there are bad distributors out there that use pesticide. Usually the bigger farms, the corporate farms, the ones in the countries that are huge, not family-owned farms. They'll use insecticides. They'll urinate in the forest or on the crops. They'll store it in a moist environment that will get moldy, and but if you go to, I met a guy on YouTube. He had a Kratom channel, and so he was a farmer, a local small family farmer in Indonesia, and he kept emailing me every day. Hey, I wanna sell you Kratom. I'm like, well, I don't buy as much as a big business, but he thought he could use my channel to get big businesses like Amazing Botanicals and stuff like that to get on board with him and buy his Kratom in huge bulk. And I say, well, I will try. I will promote to them. I'll tell them, and I'll tell my viewers that your Kratom is pure. I mean, they sent me pictures and videos of them actually going out into their fields, showed me the trees, showed me how clean their farm was, showed me how they grow them from seedling to tree, and no chemicals ever went on their Kratom. And they sent me lab results because I demanded, if I'm going to promote something, I've got to know it's clean. And where you can get sick, where Kratom is not safe, if you get Kratom that was like American corporate farmers use pesticides, use labor that isn't really invested in the country or in the company and doesn't really care, so they'll half-ass things, or they'll store it in an unhealthy way, and you can get sick from Kratom that way. But fortunately for me, I have always researched my distributors to the max, and I'll ask them, can you email me a lab report of your Kratom? I want to know the Mitragyna speciosa content. I want to know if there's anything else like lead or anything else in your soil that's causing these trees to be sick or that could be dangerous, because my health is already screwed up and I don't need any more health problems. It does go through your liver, and it does go straight to your brain, and the last thing I need is crap going to my brain that I don't need or in my blood. But if you find a good distributor, Kratom is very safe. I mean, they've been using it for hundreds of years in Indonesia, in all of Southeast Asia, and not really had any issues until American corporations started to find out that, oh, this could be a cash crop, and then they started getting seedlings from Southeast Asia and growing their own farms in greenhouses and pumping them with chemicals to make them grow faster but not better. And not too many trees need pesticides. I mean, it's just not like they need an airplane to fly over and just dump chemicals on their trees, on the forest. I mean, most trees in the forest, unless they get some kind of beetle, like the balsam trees in Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina, are being infected with this beetle that is killing off all the balsam trees, and it's sad. And the USDA is doing everything possible scientifically to kill these without putting chemicals on the trees. Not because anybody eats the trees, but because the USDA cares about the environment and cares about the forest. I worked for the Forest Service for 3 years, and was actually looking for a career in the Forest Service. It didn't happen. But the reason I'm not wearing a shirt today and I'm not shaved today, is because I woke up depressed today, and I'm only on my second cup of Kratom. So by my second or third, I should start to feel a lot better. I did shower at least, but I'm still wearing my pajamas, and I usually don't sleep with a shirt on. And by this time of the day, it gets warm. Plus, this is usually who I am personally. I don't work anymore. I'm 100% disabled. I don't leave my house. I don't see anybody. Nobody comes to visit me. If they did, I would get dressed. I would wear jeans, a t-shirt, and shoes usually, but my life now just doesn't need it. And for being 54 years old and all that I've been through, I still feel comfortable being in public without a shirt on. And like I said, I am converting this channel into something a little different, and this is part of the conversion, because as a kid growing up in the hardcore scene, this is what I represented, tattoos and plus I'm from South Florida, and we wore in South Florida everywhere. We would wake up and put on a pair of jean shorts or jorts, whatever you want to call them, usually baggy shorts or baggy jeans, and no t-shirt, no socks, and a hat to cover our heads so we didn't get skin cancer on our bald heads. And I'm still a Floridian. I probably always will be. And I had a job where I was working construction on the canals in Palm Beach County, and literally I would go to work with beat up shorts, no shirt. I'd show up at the morning meeting where we would get delegated our tasks for the day, and I looked like this, and no one cared. Pretty much everybody else looked like this too. They'd wear flip-flops to work because we were in the water 90% of the day or on a boat, and half the I've fucked up my feet pretty bad working construction in the water with no shoes on. So in time I did buy a pair of cheap shoes from Kmart, and usually slip-ons that I didn't care about, and I'd just slip those on and take them off and throw them away at the end of the week and get a new pair, because just to protect my feet, because I'm not an idiot. Back to kratom. Also, it's safe if you don't overconsume it. If you take a lot of it, you're going to build a tolerance, and then you're going to require a lot more of it. But switch up strains, or somebody told me what they do is they'll drink a cup of kratom, or 2 or 3 cups of kratom in a day, and then go off of it for 3 days, and then have another cup. And they'd never really built that tolerance. I'm one of those unfortunate people that build a tolerance to Tylenol, so Tylenol doesn't even work on me anymore. And my prescription medicine, they have to keep increasing it because I build such a tolerance to it. My sleeping pill, for instance, the most benign sleeping pill you can possibly take, and I have to take 3 times the amount that they prescribed me because it has no effect on me otherwise. And then I wake up hungover and need to drink a pot of coffee to wake up, or energy drinks. I've since stopped drinking energy drinks that I was very addicted to. I couldn't wake up without having 5 Monster Java energy drinks or 2 Starbucks Venti triple lattes with sugar-free vanilla and soy milk. And that was an every morning deal, $5 a morning. And when I couldn't afford it, I'd find a way to afford it. I'd take it from my bank account that my wife controlled, so she would know everything I was doing, and she was not happy. What did you just spend $10 on today? I went to Starbucks and I bought a couple of drinks. Sorry, I needed it to wake up. We don't, plain coffee from my coffee maker just doesn't have the caffeine. I needed an espresso or Cuban coffee. I worked for the Department of Environmental Protection. I've had a lot of jobs and a lot of careers, and I was Environmental Specialist 3, which means I made more money and I was moving up in the government system. And I got that job because I was really, really good on computers, and they needed a computer programmer to help with this program to be a cartographer, to map all the spots in Palm Beach County that contractors had built a dock or a seawall or something to impact the waterways, because Fort Lauderdale, they were left in the early days, they were left to their own devices, and they completely destroyed every canal in Fort Lauderdale. It's all concrete, and so fish weren't happy there, so fish just left. Manatees quit coming in, plants quit growing, so no plants, no fish. So they were called dead canals, and in an effort to prevent that from happening to all of Palm Beach County, we tried to map every single spot with a dot on a map on the waterway where we were building something like a dock or a seawall or whatever. Because every dock, we made rules that you had to have at least a 1/4 inch space between the deck boards so that sun could get through, so that plants could grow underneath the dock. And of course, the rich Floridians who wanted a really pretty looking dock wanted their deck boards tight together so that you couldn't see. But it was just, I don't know, it was just a weird thing. They thought it would last longer or look better or make it stronger, but it did none of that. So I moved from working for a contractor building these things to working for the Department of Environmental Protection as a cartographer, mapping these things, and it was mostly the stuff I worked on, ironically, the permits that I worked on to get a dock or a seawall built or a bridge or something, and so it was really easy for me because I could go back to everything was on microfiche. All my permits were on microfiche at the DEP, so I just go back to thousands of these microfiche permits and find the latitude and longitude of each one of these spots and not using Google Maps, but using early programs like Google Maps. It was a map of the waterways, and if you clicked a node on it, it would tell you the latitude and longitude and the house address of where the mitigation was. And a mitigation is any place you mess up the waterway. And when we would find certain areas that were 80% mitigated, then we would have to have less permits on that spot, which homeowners and contractors took us to court all the time. But with the data that I provided, we were able to screw those people, which was kind of fun, because I was just a poor low-class working kid, 21-year-old, and then I went to the DEP, which is I worked for the government, full benefits, higher pay, more respect, my own office, and of course, me being me, I was the best in all of South Florida at doing that, because they were trying to do it through all of Florida. Department of Environmental Protection was a state agency run by Jeb Bush, the governor at the time, and I wanted to be the best, so I, being me with a super brain, I called it, because it was like a sponge. I would learn things and it would stick. And I would go to the meetings and confront these contractors who hated me. I mean, their lawyers would come in with t-shirts saying, "Pave the world." I'm an environmentalist, I'm a liberal. And I want to protect the environment for my children, not that I'm ever going to have children, but for your children and for your children's children's. I want there to be trees and plants and pure oxygen, because without plants and trees, there's no oxygen. There's just carbon dioxide, and people get cancer and die from just carbon dioxide. And I'm rambling, and so the country, like Indonesia is a very non-industrial country, so there's not a lot of dirtiness being put in the air, which is helpful for the trees. And plus, Kratom needs a lot of water to grow at the beginning, and certain temperatures and certain amount of humidity. So these distributors decided, fuck these Asians, we're gonna build our own farms, and started growing Kratom in America. And Americans have a way of screwing everything up. So I wouldn't buy from an American distributor. From an American farmer, if it was Kratom, because they've not been dealing with it for hundreds and hundreds of years, and in our country is industrialized, the air is poison, the fossil fuels we used to burn were destroying the world, and it's all economic. And I am, like I said, a tree hugger. So whether you love me or hate me for that, that's what I am. And I generally am friends with other tree huggers because we have something in common. We want to save the world. We want the world to be a better place to live, which is why I use natural substances rather than my chemical counterpart prescription drugs that are not safe. If I suddenly get off of my prescription for what I take exactly for this pain and anxiety, I go into grand mal seizures. But I can get off of this and just suffer for a couple of days, maybe runny nose, fever, sweat, and sorry, I just had an important text come in. So I am going to, this is 20 minutes, so I'm going to leave you here, and I will see you tomorrow. Alright, peace out, love, I love you all, bye-bye.